What's going on, guys? What the flux here? Going to be playing some StarCraft 2 today. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys a PvT matchup here on Lost Temple. Lost Temple is one of the oldest and most recognized maps in all of RTS history, and you guys have probably seen it in one form or another at this point. But moving back to the match a little bit, today I'm going to be playing a Terran by the name of No Style. He's going to be spawning in the 9 o'clock position as the red colored pieces, I guess. I'm going to be spawning in the 3 o'clock position as the blue Protoss. Couple things to note, this map is particularly very favored towards Terran in my opinion. Terran can really abuse a few things. First off, this cliff right here overlooking your natural expansion is just, it's insanely overpowered. You can put, if they get siege tanks for research siege tech, oh my goodness, stumbling fail. This is going to be a tough one, guys. Suffer through it with me, but it's been about a week since I've done a commentary, mainly thanks to YouTube sucking ass, so I really just didn't bother. I didn't really want to put in the work and then just have it, go for nothing because they were going to fail at uploading it or fail at publishing it, so I just went ahead and waited. But moving back to my point here, now that I can actually speak, this cliff right here overlooking your natural expansion is very difficult to deal with as Protoss and Zerg. Terran can get a siege tank, research siege tech. Jesus, this is going to be fun. And they can just go ahead and plant it up here, and the range on them is ridiculous. You can set him right down here, and he will be able to reach your Nexus or hatchery very easily. Obviously being able to kill off the gas right here, and pretty much any probes on these 4 mineral lines. It really shuts down a natural very, very quickly, and since it's pretty much in every Terran's particular build, since the new thing is to do a 1-1-1, a barracks into factory into starport, it pretty much comes right along the way. It's really hard to deal with, and it really forces you to play one base, which really is a sad point for Terran and Zerg, especially Zerg, because they really just don't function very well off of one base unless they, especially against Terran, unless they get Bailings and back them up with some roaches. But that's a story for another day. Maybe I'll pick up Zerg here in a little bit to see how underpowered they really are. But as of right now, I believe Terran are definitely the best race in the game, and they just have pretty much, they can reign supreme over anybody else except for another Terran, where it's a chess match. It comes down to luck or who's just the better scout. But I'll start off by saying I do actually win this game, but it's pretty much by luck. I've got my gateway out, got my cybernetics core, chrono boosting out my first stalker in the event that there are reapers. I don't believe I've scouted. I've scouted the 2 barracks, but I have not scouted what add-on they've gone. And he's luckily gotten a reactor instead of a tech lab, so there are going to be no reapers. So this stalker, not very warranted this early on, but it's quite useful either way. So he's there. Chrono boosting out warp gate because this is going to be another example of a 4-gate push, and it's really the standard as Protoss. There's really not too many different ways you can go. If you do go into something higher tech such as Stargate, or you try to go straight for any kind of Templars, you're really going to be put in a very, very, very uncomfortable position early on in the game. You will not have very many forces to protect yourself, so it's one reason why I'm contemplating switching out of Protoss and going to Terran, because there's no versatility here. I really feel like you have to get these first 2 gateways no matter what, and you have to continuously pump out a decent amount of forces, and that just drains resources, and it makes it really hard to go for a higher end tech such as Void Rays or Hell. Well, Phoenixes are pretty easy to go for, but Void Rays, Dark Templar, High Templar, something in that nature, beefier units that it's just too difficult to go for. So I just go with 4-gate pretty much no matter what right now, until I find maybe a little bit better of a build order. But yes, you will be seeing a 4-gate push, and it does kind of work out in my favor in this particular match, because the one thing about Terran is they do want to sit back. They do want to turtle, especially on the American servers. They want to stay back and they want to build up their forces. They want to get, their 1-1-1 going. and they want to have a really good diversified amount of units because they honestly have the most diversified amount of units. He can have a really strong ground army, which is typically what he goes for, what any Terran will go for very early, is a good mix of Marines and Marauders, which honestly, if he were to push out with this, he could probably take me down. But that's not really the point of what I'm trying to get across here. What I'm trying to get across is the fact that he can build up enough defenses, especially with a bunker that is insanely cheap, and just turtle back, and that really makes it a problem for any other race, just because they can get their economy going much faster. And I just hit my mic, so if that shows up, that's why I just like try to pretty much ear bomb you guys. So they do want to sit back. They want to get their siege tanks out. They want to get their siege tech researched. They want to sit back, and then they want to just come at you as like a tidal wave and just overthrow you. As you can see, I'm a little bit ahead here in army, but that really won't matter too much because I honestly I don't scout very well so far in this game. So when I can't scout a base, especially a Terran player, since they do wall off like this, I pretty much go for containment. I want to keep him in his base, and if he does need to move and make an expansion, I want him to move it down here, somewhere down here or somewhere to the north, where I can easily take it out if I need to. Now, obviously Lost Temple has island expansions, which just screams EA Terran. You get another free expansion, so knowing that, I'm very wary of it, and I usually like to get a Stargate pretty much no matter what, especially just against Terran, just because a lot of maps, well, not a lot of maps, but a good amount of maps have an island expansion. I'd like to be able to shut it down. But checking out the production tab, since I do have him contained, I've decided to throw down an expansion, and this is pretty early on into the game. I mean, we're not even 10 minutes into it, and I'm already looking at trying to beef up my roster, and that's definitely a smart way to go. He hasn't really moved out yet, but he is finally throwing down a command center, and his big blunder right here is he should be building it in his base somewhere in here, and then putting his army out in front, and then flying it over and landing it. But he's not doing that. He's building it straight up, and if I can scout this early enough with there's that little map hacker. If I can scout that early enough, I can take it out relatively easily, even though he does have forces overlooking this choke right here. If he had this in siege mode, it would be pretty impossible, but I can run by a lot of my units and attack from over here, and I can take down this expansion very, very easily. But that's not going to happen here, not just quite yet. But I've got my proxy pylon in position, and this is a pretty poor position once again for my magical proxy. So, oh well. My warp gate's going on, and this is another fault of mine. I really don't use it very often. I'm really poor at keeping up with it and making sure I have enough minerals every time the cooldown comes up to use it and to beef up my roster, as well as keep myself in supply by building pylons. As you can tell up here in the corner, I'm dangerously close, and I should be throwing down another pylon, but I've got two going on, and that's down here at my my natural. And the reason why you want to do this is to make it easier to warp in units should they have to come. You'll notice that he has two starports going on, and this has been the bane of this game early on for, I think, a lot of newer players such as myself, is that cloaked units are very, 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 very good. You'll notice I'm scouting this, and I should know that these two tech labs are just going to be, it just automatically means Banshees. And I should know that the reason why you get two is because you're more than likely going to be researching cloaking in one, and I don't know, things just didn't click. I didn't throw down a forge quickly enough, and there's really no detector on the field for the exception of this little guy, and he's chilling over here spying, but it's almost worthless for me because I don't realize what's going on. Checking back at my base, not too much going on. I have tech transitioned into Colossi because I've seen that he's sitting here and he has a big infantry ball and a siege tank. So I know that this is more than likely going to be the case, is that he's going to try to stick with this kind of tech and Colossi will just counter this really well, especially if I can get enough sentries on the field, which I definitely have, and that's just going to be force fields everywhere. I think extended thermal lance is done. Yes, it is. As you can see, I have a range of 9, the most important upgrade in the game. So I'm going to be in a really good position to really take out this ball. The only thing I'm going to do really poorly with is dealing with these banshees. So I'm definitely not prepared for them. There's no forge. There's only one detector on the field. I don't have anything to defend my base, and this is going to possibly cost me here in a few seconds. Had he moved out with these little bastards a little bit earlier, he probably could have won this game, but luckily he waited just to have too many. Once he had cloaking done, he should have moved out, even if he only had 1, because 1 is just enough to do insanely massive amount of damage. I mean, they do insanely good damage. I mean, 12 damage to the ground is just ridiculous, and it's not like, you know, workers are very beefy. So he's moving out, but I'm ready to move out with my force. So here we go. I'm getting my move on. Ooh, that's what she said. And luckily I have Colossi, so I'm able to spot the high ground, and these siege tanks are just gonna fall to them. Everything's just gonna die. I'm gonna get this bunker out of the way, and here go my Colossi to work. They're out of range, and these guys can't do anything about it. The only person who can even possibly shoot them is a siege tank, and he positions it really well, a little bit farther back, but he's not focusing the right things down. So this expansion falls, and I'm going to take a very, very good lead, but looking back at my base, his Banshees are still doing work, so I know it's pretty much an all-in at this point for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to finish the game here, and I have a really good sized force to do it. All I need to do is pretty much move up in here, but, you know, hey, not paying attention to the battle, that's a really good move also. His workers are exposed, there's nothing here to defend him at all. The only things he has really are Banshees, and that's really all he has to work with. He should have noticed at this point that there's really nothing to defend anything, and he's actually taken out my Nexus, but he maybe could have sniped these two and shut down a lot of production, but luckily he didn't, and he rebuilt his energy enough to cloak. I did warp in some stalkers to try to shut it down, but it really didn't matter too much. Looking back at his base, if this goes down, that's pretty much game, and it's going to go down to pretty much all these stalkers, and there it goes. So that's pretty much going to be the game. He's pretty much got nothing left unless he can finish the game here with his Banshees, which it really doesn't look like he can. They're running out of energy way too quickly, and that's just really going to cost him. He really doesn't have anything he can do. I have not enough stalkers back home, but I have a few just to slow it down enough, so he really can't sit there and attack, and he's really just baffled at what he can do. So I pretty much decide that it's time to take down the rest of his buildings, because once you lose all your buildings, you do lose the game, and that's all there is for that. He's trying to build a command center to try to salvage the game, but I end up focusing it down, and I see these Banshees come in, and they snipe out the Nexus I made over here to block the command center from landing. So I'm thinking, alright, I can just take those out, and he'll just get out of my hair, and like a moron, I'm going to chase these down for a little bit when pretty much there's these 2 supply depots that I have to kill, and I win, but just look at that little stream. Yeah, look at that stream. Don't worry, I got you. I'll get these Banshees, don't worry. I got them. And they're going to go over here and do a little bit of work, but I'm just going to run. I'll finally realize they are in my ways and just run back and kill these 2. And there's just way too many buildings for him to clean up at this point anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know still a little bit sketchy, but I'm still working on it, and I'm having fun doing it, having fun with this game, so be a little bit patient with me, and I can't guarantee it'll get better, but I'm definitely going to work on getting better. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is What the Flux. Peace.